how you approach the problem. And but I can see that you mentioned you had inheritance for attenuated.
Yes.
And for inactivated,
Yes. Yes.
because you picked up that these are types, and therefore
Yes.
you made these classes.
Yes.
So how many classes did you end up with? So let's go through this. Many different vaccines are produced globally to help provide vaccinated persons with immunity from specific infectious diseases. The following points apply to a simplified scenario to be used in this examination. All vaccines must be administered in some way, usually by mouth or by injection. Also, vaccines should be able to retain a string representation of each state. So what classes do you end up with? Do you know, like, just the list of classes that you have?
Okay. The classes that I had was okay, the first one was the vaccine, the main
Okay.
one. And
Yeah.
then I have the inactivated class.
Okay. So
Yeah.
from this
And
point
then
here, you ended up with a vaccine class,
yes,
and then it's
inactivated.
inactivated. So there are two types of vaccines: inactivated, where the infectious
And
material has been destroyed using chemicals, heat, or radiation; and attenuated vaccines,
yes.
where the process used to create them involves disabling the virulent properties or using a closely related but less dangerous organism. So you then went with, okay, let's continue. The cholera vaccine is a type of attenuated vaccine and is normally administered in a number of doses. The rabies vaccine is a type of inactivated vaccine and is normally based on a particular strain of rabies. So you then went with inactivated and attenuated.
Attenuated.
So
Yes.
these, and did you use inheritance on that
Yes, I use they're inheriting from the vaccine.
from the
And then
vaccine?
underneath,
Okay.
yes.
So you
And
went
then underneath,
attenuated and you went inactivated. Okay.
yes. And then underneath the inactivated, I also created a rabies class, which inherits from inactivated. Not
Cholera
sure if I was
vaccine,
doing
attenuated, and rabies is a type of inactivated vaccine. So
yes,
then
yeah.
you went with rabies inheriting from here.
Yes,
um, and then you went with cholera inheriting from here.
and yes, that's what I did.
Okay. So then you
And
went,
then
yeah.
and then the next class was the vaccine list, which is the composition. I think it was a vaccine list. I created another class called vaccine list, which is the composition of the vaccine.
Um, okay. So you went with a vaccine list. Let's just put
Yeah.
that one up here, which was composition to that. Okay.
And then there was also the Q list, and then which we like is the Q list with the vector vaccine pointer, on which is on top of vaccine list. So
Okay. Yeah.
the vaccine list inherits from that Q list class.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. Okay. So what confuses me was the factory. How does the factory fits in? That's where I get stuck. Assuming that I've done the correct, assuming that I'm correct with what I've currently done.
Okay. So where do you plug in the factory design pattern? Okay. So if we look at, I think this question, question one, simply then wants you to draw a UML class diagram for this given scenario, and you've got 18 marks, and they didn't want, they did to show what data will be passed between objects, constructors, accessor methods. No client was required, just the diagram. Okay. And then there was comparison between the factory method and the abstract factory method design pattern as part of this question. All right, so the question now is, where do we fit in the factory method design pattern? And I think this one gets tricky because you have these intermediate classes that are here, and then you've got these ones that are here, right? So in this case, the question we have to talk about and discuss is, are you going to create an instance of your vaccine just in general, or not? Like, is your client going to have to make an instance of a vaccine? The answer is likely no, because a vaccine, if you're going to, if we think about it this way, if you're going to get a vaccine, like the actual vaccine, what would it be, right? Because we have to understand the concept of abstract classes, abstract classes versus concrete classes, right? So concrete classes are just normal classes, the one that you can instantiate and implement. And whenever you start dealing with design patterns, the concept of abstract classes then comes into play. And it's important to then understand what is an abstract class and under what circumstances would you end up with an abstract class. So an abstract class is one that you never instantiate. Like, you don't create instances. And I think we may have to do a discussion a little bit deeper around abstract classes versus concrete classes, and under which circumstances can you then create an abstract class. But using this example, though, you realize that you've got a vaccine here, which can be attenuated or inactivated. And then under these two, you can have rabies and cholera. You can have cholera here, and then you can have rabies here. So if you think about this in a practical sense, right? You would never go into a clinic and then they say, we are giving you an attenuated vaccine, and they stop there. Like, they would say, we are giving you a cholera vaccine, which means this is the actual vaccine that you're being given, but not just an attenuated vaccine. Or they wouldn't say, oh, we're just going to give you an inactivated vaccine, because remember, there could be different types under here. So if you think about it in more practical terms, this wouldn't be a thing that you actually create in your application, right? The actual vaccine that you then create is actually cholera, a cholera vaccine or a rabies vaccine. So these classes you can instantiate, which means within your application, if somebody is going to be administered with a vaccine, it's going to be either this or this. They are never going to be given this or that, because the actual vaccine is this one. And they're never going to be given a vaccine. Like, here's a vaccine. And we don't know, like, as you can visualize, it won't make sense for you to just get a vaccine, because the question becomes about which one, right? Which means at this level, we cannot make an instance of a vaccine because we need to know what type to create. At this level, we cannot have a vaccine, right? It cannot exist at this level. And then at this level, it also cannot exist because there can be different types. So your question normally guides you based on the context, whether or not you can actually have an instance at this level or at this level or at this level. So in this case, at this level, it would be, in this context, it would be difficult to have an actual vaccine at this level, because then what is it for, right? Because there can be many here. Same goes here. So all these ones would then be abstract classes, which means that you cannot make a concrete class of these ones here. But these ones are just normal classes, which means within your application, you do actually make an instance of cholera and an instance of rabies. So these are your normal concrete classes. So the general concept behind applying factory method is simply that you have inheritance. If we do it in simpler terms, you have inheritance, you have an object here, and you've got a type of this object here and a type of this object here, right? So when you apply your factory method design pattern, you are simply saying, here's a class that knows how to give you an instance of an object, right? And this instance can be type 1 or can be type 2. That's factory. That's how you apply it. That's how you generally just apply the factory method design pattern. So that same thinking is what you simply apply in this instance. You're going to have a factory method class, yeah, which knows how to give you a vaccine. And this vaccine can either be cholera or rabies. That's it. Because whatever your class creates, these have to be concrete classes, something that you can instantiate. And whatever your class returns has to be the topmost pointer, because it has to, when your client is requesting a vaccine, it's going to get a pointer of type vaccine. But this pointer can be a cholera or can be rabies. And this design allows you to have more types of diseases that can fall under attenuated and more types of diseases that can fall under cholera. But for the sake of illustration, you just have one under each. But this is how this application can actually grow and be extended. You can end up with different types sitting under each type of vaccine. So you can have all these different types here and all those different types here. But in this case, that's how you apply factory. So factory is basically, sometimes you can draw this with two classes, but I'm just keeping it simple. We are going to get to the factory method design pattern discussions, and we'll dive deeper into how to do factory and how it differs from abstract factory and when would you use which method. Otherwise, just preempting right now, because we have to draw these diagrams, that's how basically you apply factory. And within your factory method, you have a function that returns a vaccine, and that takes maybe the name of the vaccine so that you know which one to return, this one or that one. So that's basically how you then end up applying factory in this case. And your class, your list and whatever is also maybe there, and it inherits from a queue list that can happen on the side somewhere there. So basically your diagram would then look like this with your usual other stuff going on there, your list. And obviously you were required to then provide your attributes and I think your functions. Yeah, something like that. So it would be awesome to actually try and draw the actual diagram, and then let's get to discuss it and see, yeah, how you do. But I think you did a good job just laying out your classes and having these two tiers of inheritance, because it's not something you see very often, which is why I keep saying just apply the concept as you see it without trying to use guts or instincts. Like, I've never seen double inheritance, therefore maybe I'm wrong, and then you try and do something funny. No, the question is guiding you. And this one is a giveaway because you knew vaccine was a class, because when they start mentioning things like this, it's got a string function, obviously, it means it's a class. And the moment this becomes a class, then that means types of vaccines then become subclasses. And if these are subclasses, then types of those vaccines also then become subclasses. They just all keep becoming classes. So it would, yeah, so I think you did well just interpreting the kind of hierarchy that you would do. And the other thing also, talking about abstract classes, the question also sort of like guided you, like these are the instances that you actually create. And similar types simply means if there are, in this case, there are no other types of vaccines, but you can only make instances of cholera and rabies. But if there are other types, then this application can be extended. So you wouldn't be creating instances of attenuated or instances of inactivated, because that's an intermediate subtype. The actual concrete classes that you create are these ones, which was also sort of like a hint that your actual concrete classes are cholera and rabies.